What's up guys, Abe here. Another 3 months, another Shadowverse Expansion season comes to an end. Edge of Paradise, Shadowverse 24th Expansion is finally come to an end with the new expansion, Roar of the Godworm, coming to the game soon. We are waving goodbye to one expansion and welcomes the next. In this video, I want to talk about what generally happened in Edge of Paradise, whether it's new decks, events, collabs, or anything else. Without further ado, let's get into it. In Edge of Paradise, we have a collab with Uma Musume. In these collaborations, we got battles, puzzles, and rewards. The Uma Musume collab also have a collection of horse girls leaders that you can buy in the shop. If you're a super mega weeb, you will definitely be interested in having them. The horse girl leaders are 3D modeled like their own game counterparts. Due to that, early on, it will have issue with frame rates of the game because it's too heavy. If you have a low-end device, encountering these horse girl leaders will lead to your device's demise. Other than that, free sleeve, free flares, free promotional cards, typical of Cygames collab in Shadowverse. And now, let's talk about gameplay. There are a few formats to talk about, and I'm about to talk about them all, mainly rotation, and the rest will just be brief. To get out of the way, I'm going to talk about other formats than rotation first. So first up, Unlimited. Unlimited dug its way to a hellhole even more deeper with Edge of Paradise. Watch this video of mine to see my rant about how bad Unlimited is in Edge of Paradise. Decks that are consistent on turn 6 now became consistent on turn 5, and anything else that wins past that turn are usually just a tier 2 deck. Bloodcraft getting more faster with Paracelese and the Handless tools. T-Shift getting much more faster with easier draw engine, and Burial Rite became meta with La Candula and more cheap Burial Rite tool, and the rest mostly stays the same. Take 2, there's not much to say. Haven still broken with Ares in the pool, Portal doing Portal stuff, the tier 2 of Take 2 still have the same game plan, and there's Forestcraft in the bottom crying in the draft pool. And for Open 6, now, the most exciting format that everyone plays, Rotation. There's a lot of decks and changes to the meta, so let's talk about this one chronologically. During the release week, there are many players that use fast aggro/board type decks to get themselves to Grandmaster on the first week. The player that's recorded as the first rotation Grandmaster player in Edge of Paradise uses artifacts to climb. After that, there are many cases of Handless Blood and aggro Rally Swords player that continuously get fast Grandmaster in the first week. These 3 decks seems very reliable during the first week of the expansion, since their game plan is fast and aggressive while others are still trying to find what's good and what's consistent. After the first week, the meta stabilizes and shifted with so many decks comes crashing into the meta. Let's talk about it per class, since every class has a presence in the rotation meta. For Forestcraft, Sekka is still the dominant deck for the class, and there is not much change to the deck. Then we have Control Forest, which is much less popular than Sekka. Control Forest utilizes Izudia to win games. For Swordcraft, variation of Rally Swordcraft dominates the meta. There's the aggro variant, the evo variant, and the control variant. All 3 of them has the same general game plan of proactive plays to rack up rally and win the game utilizing the rally effects. The decks became more amazing because of the new Edge of Paradise legendary Taketsumi Aconite Paladin, which benefits from rally while giving an extra advantages in the mid-game. The deck is now more consistent to win games, since you could always have an Evo point ready for Erika and much more Evo count for Kagemitsu. Musketeer's Vow, Monochrome Endgame, and Victorious Blader is the core key cards that spikes the mid-game for Rally Swordcraft. They are pretty much on curve with each others and can have maximum benefit with Corpse Master Invocation active. For Runecraft has a few decks that are in the meta, which is Earthright Runecraft, Spellboost Runecraft, and Yukishima Runecraft. Earthright Runecraft became somewhat consistent with more addition to Earthright support and win cons, utilizing burns to win games as usual. As for Spellboost Runecraft, the deck is much more consistent and more used in competitive play with the addition of Chakram Wizard and, ironically, Earthright Runecraft tools that have Accelerate. Spellboost Rune can spellboost their cards fast and fuel Quadra Magic Condition just as fast. Their game plan is to have massive burn combo with Kuon and Ultimate Magic. And lastly, for Runecraft there is Yukishima Runecraft. The deck utilizes the Evo effect of the new legendary from Edge of Paradise, Yukishima Master Biographer. The effect buffs your follower in hand if you draw cards and deals damage to the enemy board when you draw cards as well. The deck is heavy with draw engine cards and a few storm cards to buff. When Storms doesn't kill, Yukishima Enhance will finish it off. For Dragoncraft, Buff Dragon become a consistent ladder deck with the addition of Tropical Mermaid and Angel's Blessing. Tropical Mermaid adds more followers that can freely evolve while buffing the deck. Due to that, Buff Dragon rarely use their Evo points, so they can get the full effects of Angel's Blessings with much more frequent, so they have consistent draw engine. Buff Dragons wins games just by the sheer power of their board and of course the usual Storm and Burn finishers. For Shadowcraft, as expected, Evolved Shadowcraft is still consistent and strong with the same Suzy, Cernunos, and Skeleton Raider combo, now with the help of Rulenia to stack up Necromancy and reliable board removal against other strong board heavy decks in the meta. For Bloodcraft, Handless Blood is still one of the most reliable decks to use, but it's not as strong as it is like in the first week of the expansion. The aggro game plan can be easily stopped by other meta decks' game plan, but overall Handless Blood still is a strong aggro deck in the meta. Other than Handless Blood, Evo Blood is also in the meta, utilizing Itsurugi for burn and mono to finish the game. The deck is not that popular or consistent during this time. For Havencraft, Eris Havencraft and Ward Havencraft are still going strong, but not the best in the meta. Heals are sometimes feels obsolete, because the meta has OTKs and aggressive strong board decks. And Ward Haven feels like they need to high roll to win games, and their win cons are also pretty slow. For Portalcraft, Artifacts is still the strongest deck for this class. With the help of the new Edge of Paradise legendary Full Blast Gunner, Artifacts has an advantage in tempo swings, and the condition of 6-9 artifacts destroyed became much easier for Artifacts as well, so their win cons are easy to activate. Other than Artifacts, we also have Festive Portalcraft, utilizing the Festive cards Puppet Tools, and the new Edge of Paradise legendary Magna Saber to control the board, getting easy 10 followers destroyed condition for Luciana to win the game. We're in the first month and we're already stuffed with so many decks. It's just show that the meta is pretty balanced for rotation. Every class has their own best deck to use to climb rank ladder or for competitive plays. In the second month, before the mini expansion, there is a change in one deck. At the end of the first month and at the start of the second month, Shadowcraft now utilizes the new legendary Flame and Glass as their new win con. I think it's due to the meta has some reactive non-board decks, so using Flame and Glass, they can reliably OTK on an empty board. The OTK being double Cernunos with Flame and Glass, evolve one of the Flame of Glass, Invasion Necromancy, and Krampus. This specific combo is 20 damage, 6 playpoint play, and can be done against an empty board. Other than that, pre-mini expansion doesn't really have too much of a change in the meta. But then, after mini expansion, there are some significant shifts in the meta. There are more cards than expected that changes the popularity of certain deck archetypes. Forestcraft's control deck become more popular with the addition of Yggdrasil Root of Life. Swordcraft doesn't have any change because the mini expansion cards are pretty underwhelming. Runecraft's Earthright deck is rising in popularity because of Riley, Astral Shaman. The gold card, Virgin, Layered Sorceress, become a tech card for a spell boost deck because of her evolve effects. Dragoncraft's Buff Dragon has a little bit of improvement in board presence with the help of Dragon Skull Bludgeoner, a tricky to remove follower that pretty much needs a direct removal to clear, especially if he's buff. Shadowcraft creates a different win con for Suzy Burial Rite with the help of Ghost Town Apparition. This version of the deck are really just advantageous against board heavy decks because of Ghost Town Apparition effect. Bloodcraft's Evo deck are now rising in popularity because of both Lord of Devastation and Demon Bodyguard, making the more controlled version of Evo Bloodcraft much more popular to play. Havencraft has a new archetype because of Fajra Champion and Impious Bishop, which is Amulet Havencraft. Fajra Champion is a very hard stick follower that banishes anything that clashes him. He needs a direct removal to be dealt with, while Impious Bishop can be useful in both Ward Haven and Amulet Havencraft because he has a ward and a crystallized effect. Portalcraft has the best result because of the mini expansion. Both Xion and Celestial artifacts boost up artifact deck's popularity by a lot. Celestial artifacts add one more artifact name for finisher conditions, also works as an artifact's tutor and finisher itself. Xion is pretty much a stalling tool against both burn decks and storm decks. And that's actually it about rotation meta. Month 3 as usual is the breather month where everything just stays the same and there is no significant change to the meta. After Edge of Paradise rotation season ends, that would mean cards from Darkness over Fulsar will rotate. The cards that rotate is pretty significant to certain archetype that exists right now. And now we only wait for the new expansion, Rage of the Godworm, to start rolling in with new cards and starts a brand new decks, or support the current ones. And oh yeah, coincidentally, Edge of Paradise is also at the month of Shadowverse 6th anniversary. So if there's some new players or some that are interested to play Shadowverse, now is the right time to play the game, as they give a lot of giveaways and free packs. Well, that's the case if I don't upload this video too late. In conclusion, Edge of Paradise in terms of the meta is pretty balanced, with every class has their own best decks. We get a few new archetypes as well, so the game doesn't seem too boring to play. And that's it for this video. Leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you haven't already, more content coming soon so stay tuned. And I'll see you guys next time.